I was a part of this Kerala Rescue.in initiative. But we were not able to replicate this in other parts of the country.
How's it like being in Germany? What's your master's like, and how's it like juggling between your education and Opengrad?
So in Kerala, this tech community, student communities are very active.
How has that volunteering shaped your, say yes to Sahil?
Enhanced my, non-cognitive skills, especially my communication skills and leadership skills.
What's it like funding in social sector for technology?
I think there's a lot of funding opportunity to take the audience to DPG, which is Digital Public. Is Opengrad DPG, yeah. Hello, hi, welcome to our second episode. So I think Sahil is better to introduce Amit, so let's give it to Sahil, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can introduce Amit. So I'll go back to how we started Opengrad Foundation. So back when I was working with Samsung and I was ideating Opengrad Foundation, mainly because I was into mentoring a couple of students in my personal capacities. And a lot of them were asking me how can I access the coaching for this course? Mostly regarding MBA. I used to motivate all my peers to get into a B school because it was a great experience for me. And then students used to ask now I'm convinced that I can do this, but how to do this? So I used to navigate them to coaching centers which used to charge a lot of money, and that's when, long story short, that's when we thought of starting Opengrad Foundation. Just like a free and open source repository of content. Feel like everyone should access, entrance coaching resources for free, etc. But that was the time when it was 4 years after my graduation from engineering college.
Okay.
So I did my UG in electronics and communication engineering. So I had no touch with any of the techies out there. So Amit was in my college when he joined my UG college when I left the college. So I just know Amit through a community called IEEE,
okay,
where my immediate juniors used to tell there's a new guy who joined IEEE. He's very smart. He's into a lot of volunteering activities and stuff. He understands tech. So I was actually looking for one such person because I could have asked this to any of the techies. Techies might say okay, this is doable. But I want someone who can understand the problem well, who can empathize with the customers, which is the students. So I thought Amit was a best fit because he was more thinking like a prod man. He had this thing because he has developed a little bit of tech for a couple of projects in college. So he understands the customers. He
also
understands
volunteer experience.
Yeah, volunteer experience as well. So that's when I called Amit, and Amit told he's in. And that God was very crucial to take the first baby step of Opengrad Foundation by buying the domain opengrad.in.
What did Sai tell you in that one call where you were wow, how was that pitch? Was it that great?
So to be honest, as we said, we only know
no diplomatic answers. You can tell me why did you say yes? I'm also yeah.
Okay. So Sahil was this senior that everybody used to look up to. He was proclaimed as the king of IEEE and stuff. So we all all of the juniors used to learn from his kind of, how do you say? In Malayalam we call tallal, and which means
exaggerating.
Not exaggerating, not exaggerating. He had this strong convincing power that if you take a call with him, you would be convinced. So I got this call and he tells me about this problem that it's there in this particular industry. And I was also at the same time, pretty much, I didn't sit for placements and I was planning to go for further studies. So I was why not give it a shot? I'm interested in the problem that he mentioned, and I generally was at that time into products and trying to solve something. So that actually made me say the yes. I didn't even think. I was just okay. Yes, we'll just give it a shot because at that time.
So tell me this: did you believe in the problem or did you believe in me?
Both together. But mostly it was believing in Sahil because I knew that if he's doing something that would be worth the while. And initially, I didn't have any clue that Opengrad would turn into an organization or what we are right now, because it was just a phone call, it was just an idea.
Even I had no idea because I never thought of quitting the corporate and moving to the social sector.
It just happened.
I think for everybody who's watching for the first time, so we are founders of Opengrad Foundation. We are running India's first community-powered entrance coaching solution. We run cohorts across the country for various entrances, CUT, CLAT, etc. We currently work with the Tamil Nadu government. And the problem that's been mentioned 2-3 times, the problem is that there is a huge gap, there is a huge accessibility gap for Tier 1 college education, Tier 2 college education, which is usually accessible only after cracking an entrance exam. An entrance exam, to crack any entrance exam, you need to go through coaching. And like it or not, coaching is a bad, like a very toxic industry slash ecosystem right now, because one, it in itself is not regulated at any level, but more than that, there's a huge chunk of India's population who cannot access coaching. So because they cannot access coaching,
Majority cannot
yeah,
access coaching.
majority cannot access coaching. Multiple reasons: finance, awareness. They don't have the right kind of mentors. They don't have any kind of guidance to reach that, to crack an entrance exam. And now, because they cannot crack an entrance exam, they cannot get admission into any good colleges. So this is the problem that we're trying to solve, and we are founders of Opengrad. So I'm the CEO and I run operations. Sahil is the CEO, he is the founder, and Amit is our CTO. So Amit is currently pursuing his masters in Germany, and he's here for his holidays, vacations, and we really wanted to pick his brains and understanding first, like how he was saying why he joined Opengrad, then how it's been developing the tech. So we've been using tech as a very strong lever for our scalability, our effectiveness of our program and things like that. So I think there's a lot for us to explore in terms of how we've been using tech, and also in general to understand the tech talent slash ecosystem in social sector. I think that's the whole summary of what we're trying to discuss in this podcast. So next question is to Amit. So particularly, how's it like being in Germany? How's it like, what's your master's like, and how's it like juggling between your education and Opengrad?
So I'm doing masters from a college in Berlin. It's a business school, and I'm doing a course called Masters in Global Management. And it's juggling. It's not very easy. I won't lie to you. But then this is something Opengrad I started along with both of them when I was in the final year of my UG at Model Engineering College. And from then, I think I was here offline for like, I think 8-9 months, and afterwards I left for Germany and I was working remote. And since all of our tech team are working remote, and most of them are also like college students, and most of them we run on basically either tech volunteers or maybe as a freelance kind of setup. So it's relatively easy when it's like in either a remote setting or a fully offline setting, because I feel like if it's like a hybrid kind of setup, then it may not have worked out the way that we are working, because tech is completely remote for us, whereas operations are more like you guys are both handling operations by going for partnerships offline. So it's all falling into place. So that's what I feel what has been happening. And regarding Germany, Germany is also like I'm also pursuing this education, so it's also supported me. What I have been learning there has also been useful in implementing at Opengrad. At the same time, the experiences from Opengrad when I during our class lectures or discussions, when I'm able to give a different point of view, because most of them there are from like a for-profit point of view or business students. So when you're able to give like a social element there, it's almost like not very easy for them to pick up.
Amit goes to Germany and he flexes about what he does at Opengrad is basically what he's trying
But
to
the
do.
best thing about the Opengrad Foundation is we work 24/7. I mean, till 12/1 we work in India, and then we hand over to the Germany team
Yes.
who takes care of the rest. Yeah.
So I think another thing that I want to specifically talk about is, so I studied IPM and I'm Indore, and all of our college activities, everything was confined in our college. But for them, they were part of multiple communities, tech communities particularly during their UG. And I think a lot of inspiration for Opengrad, a lot of our, like how we think of how we want communities to be built, what is the kind of interactions we want from our community members. I think a lot of inspiration has come from communities that you've been part of, like IEEE, like Tinker Hub and things like that. So what do you want to share about how that ecosystem has led to Opengrad also? I think
So personally, I mean, Amit might have a different story to tell, but personally, what I felt was, say if you look at Kerala, I don't know what's the situation outside because I did my engineering in Kerala. So in Kerala, this tech community, student communities are very active. So there are spaces where the students or say professionals who are interested in tech, they come in, they collaborate, they share ideas, they teach each other, they build cool stuffs, right? So even I was a part of this Kerala Rescue.in initiative. For those who don't know, like Kerala, during the floods, 2018 floods of Kerala, we built a platform called Kerala Rescue.in where like around 2000 plus techies from across the globe contributed. It was a huge project which was announced as the official rescue and rehabilitation portal in Kerala. All this happened in Kerala, but we were not able to replicate this during similar natural disaster in other parts of the countries because of the strong culture of giving back when it comes to technology. Like people come together, like they build things, they build cool stuff. I was like, why this is not happening in education? I mean, people go to coaching centers paying a lot of fees and they make sure that they are not, helping anyone for that preparation journey. So this was one of the reasons why I wanted to build something like this.
So IEEE or like your experience working with these communities have been like a big backer of inspiration.
I have seen, working with IEEE was slightly different because IEEE is not a forced community per se. You have a registration fees for that. It's not as free as the other forced communities, but I drew a lot of inspiration from the forced communities in Kerala to build Opengrad Foundation because of the culture of giving back.
Understood.
I want a similar culture in the education system in India.
What about you? How has that experience of I know you were like very active in your college as well. So how was that volunteering shaped your motivation to say yes to Sahil even?
So I think this culture of giving back is engraved in the DNA of, I think, Kerala college communities, and it has been there from a long while. It's not something that happened like in the recent past. It has been evolving, and I'm grateful to a lot of amazing seniors because they were ready to give it back, the knowledge that they had, and it just didn't stop there. It just went on, and the juniors, when their juniors came, they just passed it on. So it goes like this. So I think it's a cultural thing as well. And secondly, for me, when I entered my engineering days in the college, so on like the first week, there is this thing called orientation, wherein all the college organizations will come, all the clubs will come to you, and they'll try to pitch themselves. So it's almost like a competition. You could see the spirit there. As Sahil said, some are free, some are paid. And I was part of this student organization called IEEE, same as Sahil. So it's like a professional organization whose agenda is to technology for humanity, advancing technology for humanity basically. And IEEE has like student chapters in a lot of colleges within India, but in Kerala it's very active, and our college also had that. So getting into like the core team of IEEE in the first year kind of enhanced my non-cognitive skills, especially my communication skills and leadership skills, because it gives you responsibility at a very early stage. And more than technical skills, I have benefited in terms of communication or leadership from that. That's my core takeaway. But at the same time, if you talk about communities like the FOSS or even Kerala Product Hunt for a reason, or Tinker Hub, they also make sure that whoever is coming has something to take away. Either it can be hardcore technical skills or it can be soft skills, which are also very relevant. And it's also a trend that these students who are involved in such activities end up doing really well in interviews. If you see this thing, because at the end of the day, it's all about soft skills and just with technical skills.
I think soft skills is like how you can package what you have. I think without that, it's really
if you're not able to communicate what you have inside you, that I think that's where all this kind of extracurricular activities or communities
definitely understood. I think shout out to Meher from Tinker Hub and Felix from KPH. I think these are just two names who've been like doing a lot in the Kerala community space in terms of tech and all. But like I for me personally, not being part of any, so these are inter-college communities. That is particularly interesting because at least for my UG or my PG, we had clubs and stuff, but everything is inside the college. Just IEEE being that body that lets you interact with people from other colleges, meet new students, work on projects together, acing. I think all of these, definitely add to how, like Amit was saying, like how he's developed personally, like in terms of like his non-cognitive abilities and things. And I think this is also what we are also trying to build in Opengrad. I think there's like a lot of synergy in terms of what we are trying to do there. I think by helping Tier 1 college students across domains, across colleges come together to a platform and give back, we're also letting them network among themselves, understand how to speak, understand how their, say, people who have cracked entrances are living, and what is the kind of opportunities that they have, what is the kind of opportunities that they can access. And I think that is, a lot of inspiration from Kerala tech communities slash Kerala colleges. And I think we want to build a similar culture with Opengrad. You guys talked about FOSS for like a brief. What is open source? Like what is open source, and what is open source tools, and how? Yeah, I think a lot of people are not very clear about it. So
I'll go for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So open source, the simplest definition would be it's a concept, and it's more about collaborating, sharing, rather than making it closed or proprietary. For example, there can be open source softwares, or say open source AI models like Llama from Meta, and so this is the general concept. So wherein like mainly if you're talking about the software side of things, then the code will be open, as in it can be shared with anyone, it can be accessible by anyone, modified and redistributed as well. So that's the whole concept of open source. And we at Opengrad, as in our name, Opengrad.
But was that the inspiration? So for context, Amit joined Opengrad in January. I think I think more way before.
We bought the domain on 2nd Jan 2020.
Yeah. So Sahil, I think he was still working in Samsung while he had the idea. They talked. They had like a full-on communication. Then they bought the domain in January. I come into the picture way after everything. I came in, I think in March or April. So was that the origin of the name as well? Open source, Opengrad?
Yes, because we both had like a...
Or is it upgrad? People keep...
It's not upgrad. Basically, the idea was to help people graduate from top schools. And it should be something like the open source community thing. I mean, everyone should be able to access.
It's a very catchy name, and I was very surprised how they got the domain. Like, oh, you also have the domain of Opengrad.
Because at the same time, I think there was also a strong open source wind in Kerala. So because of the Kerala Rescue Project, and there was a lot of amazing open source projects going on. So we thought, okay, why not education and open source? So that was also one of the inspirations, not only just the reason.
What is open source nature of Opengrad? Like, what is?
So see, there you can Google for the definition of open source. I mean, Amit has told like what open source is like when it comes to technology. But for me, I believe in a different philosophy of open source. It's not just limited to softwares. I feel like a lot of things as essential as healthcare, education, etc. should be open for all. Very simple.
Okay.
Education should be open for all at the highest quality, and that's my idea of open source. I mean, certain essential stuff should be open for all, irrespective of where they are coming from, where they are born. I mean, what are their financial background they are coming from.
Yeah, there should not be blockers.
There should not be any blockers for essential stuff like education,
understood.
and they believe that education is the only equalizer.
Okay.
Education is the only equalizer, and it should be open. So this is my understanding. This is not my. This might not be the clear-cut definition of open source, but this is my understanding of open. From an all point of view, this is how at least Sahil, as the CEO of Opengrad Foundation, defines open source at the Opengrad Foundation.
No, understood. But for me also, it's how there's like a system, or like there's like a layer. I would call it like a layer where people can come, remove, and add things. After like, not like anybody can come and remove, but like after like a certain level of validation or like a filtration, people can come, remove, and add, and also anybody can come and access it. I think
decentralization.
Almost decentralized systems where anybody can take information from it. I think that's exciting, and I think another thing that is often discussed with open source is that I think in Opengrad's point of view, I don't think we're building a lot of open source things, but we are utilizing a lot of open source tools as well. I think we're building also, and we are utilizing.
And that open source is not just about technology.
Yeah.
It's about the open nature of what we are building.
Yeah,
it's that philosophy.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue to take the audience to DPG, which is digital public goods. I think
Yeah.
this is something that a lot of it's a term that keeps coming up in all our proposals, in all our investor pitches, and also like any kind of outreach that we get from funders. I think DPG is something that's discussed a lot. I think the audience also would love to understand what a DPG is. How is Opengrad? Is Opengrad DPG? Like, yeah, Sahil, yeah.
You want to go into that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So DPG stands for Digital Public Goods. So anything, basically any good that is beneficial to the public, which is deployed at say a larger mass scale. Better would be to explain with an example.
Yeah,
in the
for
case
sure,
of in the case of India, the Aadhaar system, the UPI system, ONDC, all these are great examples of DPG infrastructures which are in place.
How is
With-
Aadhaar a DPG?
it is how do you say, deployed nationwide, and it is giving, how do you say, access to a digital entity or a digital
Okay.
identification to each of the citizens who's part of India.
Yeah.
So essentially it is like a digital good which earlier which was present as say
Okay.
in paper
Yeah.
format or something, which gave a unique identification to all the citizens, and from there now we can easily connect our bank accounts to others. So everything is, how do you say, becoming connected to a single point from which you could access health, education. So that's the general concept of DPG. And in Opengrad's context, there are public goods which can be digital or which are in intangible forms as well. To give an example, at Opengrad, with the help of volunteers and mentors, we create a lot of video content. So all these video contents are examples of digital public good because at scale it's helping a lot of students. Another example could be the mentorship that the mentors are providing to the underprivileged students. In that case, it's not digital, but it's more like an intangible resource.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
because it's run through like a digital platform, I think it's okay to call it as like
A DPG, a kind of
Yeah.
DPG. So Opengrad has a lot of DPG products, or say products that help the public or help our
Yeah, and I
users.
think DPG, what we should not miss is that it's digital public good, it's not private. There is no like locking to it, or it's
Exactly.
accessible to everyone. So like any content that Opengrad makes, any of the resources or the courses that are live / mock tests that are live, that's available for everybody at scale. They just have to log into the portal and then they can access it. There is no other kind of filtration or paywalls related to that. I think that's
Exactly.
what digital public goods is. Anything you want to add?
No, I just want to ask, like, if say the parliamentary sessions which are available in the government website, will it? be
It's also a
considered
form of DPG.
DPG, yeah.
So, I mean, it need not be like a software or an infrastructure. It could be open data sets, even open source AI models to an extent. Some of them, which are being developed in India, can also be called as a DPG. So,
Okay.
Okay.
it's a very broad concept which can be applied in several levels. Like it can be infrastructure or data. So, it's a very broad concept.
Okay, understood. I think now that we have understood like what is the kind of nature of the tech / platform that we're building in at Opengrad, like that we're building, that like all of these digital public goods that people can use, people can benefit or like take the right kind of use of, make the right kind of use of. I think another area that I want to touch up very crucially in this podcast is how it's been like building all of this tech thing, because I think it's personally, I think tech at Opengrad has been like a roller coaster journey. We've started at crazy levels of we want to build that, this, that, and then we've gone to like proprietary softwares, and then we've tried building, then we've, you know, it's been a lot. And I think I want Sahil to talk about what's our tech journey been like from say early days of developing our simple website to right now trying to build like a whole VMS. I think you should. I don't want to spill a lot of information here.
So tech journey at Opengrad Foundation has been a roller coaster ride. It has been challenging. It's still it's still challenging. So the first thing, like I'm not very good with technology, though I did my engineering like every other engineering graduate. So I met a few people, few volunteers who are like techies, and asked them. So I didn't even know the term LMS. So first thing we need is like an LMS.
LMS, yeah.
So for those who are watching, LMS is a learning management system through which we can upload all the videos, materials, etc.
It's like a school basically, like a library plus school plus
you
log
go to
in.
the Unacademy website, you go to the Byju's website.
Yeah, all of those are LMS.
LMS.
Like social media platforms are where people interact socially. LMS is where us as an organization / school / tutoring institute can put all of their learning related stuff, and then we can manage it, and then students can come and access it also.
Yeah. So I first asked the volunteers, I want to build an LMS.
Yeah.
I want to build something like what Byju's have built.
Yeah.
And I asked them whether this is possible.
Yeah.
And they took some time and they told like this is possible, a little tough, but this is definitely possible. So I was like, okay, let's build this.
Yeah, I think developers never say no.
That's where you actually need a CTO in an organization or like strong PMs.
No offense to developers.
No offense to developers. I mean,
you all are amazing developers.
amazing developers, they are good at what they do. They are confident about what they are doing.
Yeah.
But it's an organizational call to see like whether we should build that at that point of time. Whether we are having the right bandwidth, resources, money, etc., and the bandwidth to build that. With Opengrad Foundation, initially we were like, we'll build everything from scratch, right from the LMS. But it took us some time to understand that. So also because I mean, we were projecting ourselves as a tech-first organization. So everyone was like, I was actually ashamed to tell people that we will use something which has been built by someone else.
Yeah. Proprietary.
Like say for example, simple example, instead of using WhatsApp Messenger, which is already been adopted by people, we were like, what if we build a WhatsApp? So that
for our mentors.
For our mentor-mentee interactions, because we didn't want to say that we use a third-party thing. I felt like, say, that might dilute, the purpose, our strong USPs, etc. as a tech-first organization. But later we realized that, say, in any organization, be it for-profit or non-profit, it's very it's essential to understand the customers well, and you will only do that by testing it out with simple solutions. Here, for example, instead of building a messenger, you can build a messenger maybe after like say 1 year into running, 2 years into running the organization. But initially, you should understand if your customers actually need a messenger. For that, you can use WhatsApp. It was something similar. Initially, we were like, we'll build everything at the Opengrad Foundation. Later, we understood it's not about right away building something, because without even understanding the customers, we will use existing tools to try to see like if the customers actually want that. And slowly we are moving into also like a building phase, using a lot of existing tech and building interfaces to benefit our users.
Yeah, I think the key term here is prioritizing also, in terms of what to develop and what to not to develop. Like a basic prod man role is what at least both of us lacked, in terms of we used to get excited. We used to get full on excited. I used to be like, hey, we should build this, there is funding for AI, so we should build like an AI thing, this, that. And I think what Amit usually brings in is also this grounding for us, like telling us that, hey, calm down, this is the approach we should go for, this is the we should maybe not even look at ever building like this too. Like,
yeah, initially when I used to ask Amit to build something, then he was like, no, we should not build that. No, I was thinking like, okay, he's being lazy at work. I mean, he's just trying to go easy at work, but that was not the case. I mean, actually there should be someone in the organization, at least in the initial stages, who should say, no, we should not build that.
Amit has that thing, no, where you want to marry tools, we want to tell them how, like, I think a lot of people who are trying to build anything new in tech, it would be useful.
Sure. So initially, when we started Opengrad, I was also in college. I was also dumb enough. So we made the classic mistake of building before talking to customers. Or we thought that, okay, this might be what the students need or what mentors need. We built like a lot of stuff. And when it came to adoption, people were not using it, or there were a lot of challenges. So that's when we realized, okay, we don't need to build everything from scratch. There are a lot of amazing open source tools already available, which you can easily just look at it and just deploy and use it for yourself. And there is no need to be ashamed to do that or something, because initially like me and Sahil and Shahil, all of us had this thing of, okay, we are gonna brand it with Opengrad. So there is this thing where if we build something, then we can say, okay, this by Opengrad. So and even so that other organizations, organization could also use it.
We want to be Amazon, Flipkart, everything of social sector.
Exactly.
We want to be everything.
We wanted to do everything, do the tech part, do the operations part. But then the thing is that funding is restricted. I mean, it's very constrained. It's hard to.
Shahid, maybe you can talk about you are looking after a lot of fundraising activities at Opengrad. what's it like funding in social sector for technology?
I think there's a lot of funding opportunities specifically like proposal wise, but I think what people so recently I came across a proposal where they're funding projects that utilize a certain AI model for digital public goods. But the problem that us as an organization in terms of, so I handle a lot of hiring as well. So I think what we have noted, what the problem here is that say I could build that digital public good, but I can only build that if I have that kind of smart talent or like people who are that passionate about tech. Tech is something where if you need people who are really good at it, and these people get paid very well outside as well. So now because I got a certain proposal for like say building something in 6 months, it's impossible for me to impossible for me to find talent to just come in for 6 months and then build and go. And then what companies or funders in most cases forget is how important is maintaining a product or like iterating a product based on feedbacks and things. People, when they release fundraising proposals or like any kind of notification, they only look at, say they will give you, for example, just for illustration purpose, like they'll tell you have 50 lakhs, you have 4 months, you can build this chatbot or this AI tool to do this. Now you can't do, you can hire freelance developers obviously for this, but one, is that what, as a tech first organization or an organization that's trying to build a DPG, is that what you want to do? Now if you want to hire people that are so good that they can build it like from end to end, you need to keep them on for years. You can't keep people for like 1 year or 2 years. This is their career also, and smart tech people are in demand everywhere. So there is very less reason for them to come into social. I think personally, I feel like there is a huge tech talent gap in social sector. I don't think as an industry we are able to attract good quality tech talent. One, I think there is also this image that there is no cool innovation in terms of tech happening in social sector. There is no scope. It is only about using like existing things and then like marrying it with other stuff, and there's no core things that people, there are no, very less people, at least us as an organization at this stage, we've been struggling a lot to attract the right kind of tech talent, particularly because of how long we can keep them, how's our proposed funding looking like and all that. So I think there's a huge tech talent gap. I think people underlook the fact that building something for the social sector is, I feel like it's more challenging and more adventurous, because in most cases the user don't know what they want, the user does not have any motivation to use the product, you have to nudge them, you have to push them, and in that case the product must
they might not even be equipped to give a right feedback to develop the product, right?
And they won't have any reference also. So I think building for social sector is very challenging, and there is like a solid need for the right kind of tech talent, and I think that also goes hand in hand with the kind of money or kind of salaries that we can offer to talent as well, because unrestricted grants / funds are very less even for CSR things. So CSR has like a spending gap, and like, so if I hire somebody because I got a CSR fund this year, there is high. We spoke to a founder recently who had like a huge CSR backing in his previous year, and this year they don't have that backing, so now they're forced to push all of these employees up. Now who would say, if you're graduating from IIT Madras, how would if you have just graduated, why would you join a social sector organization where your future is not like completely like solid? People don't even understand the impact of work you do. So I think there's a huge branding effort also that needs to go into social sector. People should understand how cool the sector is, how important the kind of work you do is, and also just be able to financially support the kind of talent, because people have to be paid. People have to be paid because people have expenses. These are all real problems. And yeah, I think from my POV dealing with fundraisers, I think there's a huge gap. They don't I don't want to be very controversial and blunt and all, but I think there's the structure of how funding happens and how, say, an organization has to work with it is not very organic. It's more of like we are contract workers to finish a fund. Like like the company needs to finish 1.2, 1.5 CR of their CSR money, so we're like a contractor who comes in for a short time and does something and then they get the impacts and then they're done. But that just makes it so hard for us to retain employees, to attract the right kind of talent. And so I think so there's this organization called Avanti Fellows. So for context, we work in Tamil Nadu with around 130 plus schools. We work with them for CLAT, CUET, coaching, and then also 21st century skilling and stuff like that. So these Avanti Fellows are right now helping the same schools in JEE, NEET, and much other activities as well. So because we're talking about tech, I was very fascinated about how Avanti does tech, especially because they have built very cool, simple tech modules / products, and it's also listed very nicely on a Notion website that they keep updating. There's everything very beautifully. I am personally someone who feels that we should document, because we are a remote organization and things like that. I think documentation should be at like the highest level. We're not there yet. I think we have a lot to do there, but I think Avanti's whole model of how they're building tech, everything was very inspiring. What do you think of Avanti? Any other?
I mean, I very recently checked the website of Avanti, to be honest. So we are working with the government of Tamil Nadu in the tribal schools, right? So we are running a mentor-driven model. So those who don't have a context, we do deliver like the live classes, all the resources, just like how every edtech does. Plus, we also tie the students with mentor. Like every 3 to 4 students get a mentor who is already from, in the case of CLAT, which is law entrance, it's a student from National Law University. Mostly like a Tamil speaking student from a National Law University who will mentor them through the process. Avanti is having a different model where they directly teach the students. They don't have the mentor driven model, but they are doing JEE and NEET presently in Tamil Nadu. So we were having an issue with attendance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have tried a lot of models. So the thing
might sound very simple that attendance could be solved very easily, but there were a lot of issues. Because
so the issue is like, so the schools are having a dedicated mail ID, but many a times they won't log in from that dedicated mail
basically
ID.
Random, the same person or the same device is not being used every recurring day. It changes, people change, the teachers change, and teachers also are not inputting it right. We are not able to manually. So if they're naming their colleges every time correctly, then through a Zoom output we could get who all attended. But if they're asked to put in chat, some will put the names different, some will only put like the location name, then some people will put it all wrong. So it was a very challenging.
It was very difficult to track the attendance.
Yeah.
So it will sound very simple, but what Avanti has done is like, say for example, if the class is happening, say in a video streaming platform, from the click to the video streaming platform, in between they have placed an interface where they have to enter their roll number and their
like a
password, just like an authentication sort of thing in between.
Yeah.
So this has altogether, so only if they get it correct, they will enter the live session.
Yeah, and also this is a screen between like a normal link to a Zoom class. It's not an entirely new product or anything. It's just like
it's like wrapping your Google Meet inside like their system, so that anybody who goes in or goes out is getting tracked.
Yeah.
It is very simple. It might sound very, very simple, but then the effectiveness of the solution can be very, very big.
And this is just one. I mean, they have a couple of them of that sort. So we were like, and they have documented it well as you told.
And I think also they have ensured the documentation such that any other NGO can come easily and use it. Like
it's all open source.
Yeah, it's all open source. I think Avanti is like a big example of like a very. Avanti is a gold standard when we look at how our tech should be. It's
also because they are not like reinventing the wheel, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they are not building anything from scratch. They are just using existing solutions, open source tools to simplify things. But I think, I mean, if there are more, say, in social sector, there's a actual, less number of organizations who are building on tech cool stuff. But once they are building, if they are building it for everyone, like what Avanti has done.
Yeah, everybody does not, because one interesting thing that I think I share whenever anybody else asks me about how it is like to build a social enterprise, is that there is very less competition. Like it is never the case that organization A is competing with organization B for a market or a target audience. It is very collaborative in nature. So I think what social sector has an advantage in terms of building cool tech products or very effective, solid tech products is that you only need to build it once. If you build it right, you only have to build it once and everybody else can use it, because there is nothing proprietary in this space. At least us as an organization, we don't believe
So
that
all the tech we are building for the sector.
yeah, for the sector. Anybody tomorrow who comes and asks Opengrad if they can use our VMS or our LMS, that is something that we are excited to do, because I think that will let that organization like remove a lot of blockers and hurdles that we had to go through when we were setting up our tech platforms and systems in place. I think that is also a good segue for Amit to just give you like a brief overview of all the tech products that we have right now. So Amit.
Yeah.
Sure. So to start with, there are like multiple products that we are building for multiple stakeholders, because it's not just the students that we are addressing. Sometimes we also have to address the volunteers, the teachers, the schools. So whatever is the requirement, we try to just solve it. One, either using any existing solutions that's available. If that's not available, or if that doesn't fit our use case, then we go forward to building it. So to give you like an example, so one of our products is the VMS that we call, which stands for Volunteering Management System. So the reason why we built this is because earlier there was no tracking of how much hours a volunteer is contributing or what kind of work they were doing. So we thought, okay, let's make this accountable. And in order for us to input the hours, we just made a web application. So it's basically like a platform or a website wherein the volunteers could come, they could just log in and input their how much time they are contributing to Opengrad. At the same time, it's being vetted by the admins from their respective institutions or organizations or colleges. And then, so this is what one of our products that it's currently, which has been deployed. And secondly, another one would be, we build a lot of solutions on top of messaging platforms like WhatsApp or Telegram, because we feel like, okay, chat is the way to go.
Yeah.
And if we could bring like all this stakeholder interactions to within like a chat platform like Telegram or WhatsApp, we thought that would be the most effective. So what we're doing right now is, we have a lot of, we emphasize a lot on peer-to-peer education. So to facilitate that, we have multiple, say, Telegram groups running, and in order to track those Telegram groups effectively, a good example would be like, there is like a reporting mechanism. If any of them is not comfortable with any of the communication or anything with the course that's happening, they could easily report or give their feedback. So there is a lot of such stakeholder interactions that is being done through mainly Telegram. And then another product would be like something as simple as Avanti is doing. We are right now building, like we are deploying what Avanti has already done, the attendance system. We are just, since it's open source, it's just that we just take it and we just deploy it on our servers, and then it's ready to go. So there is like a big spectrum of products that are being done. Some things like VMS, which are very core to us, which we put a lot of effort on. And some other solutions which are very simple, like the attendance system from Avanti, where we don't have much to do, but we just implement it. It may seem very simple, but then I think it's about being frugal, because the kind of audience that we are interacting with, especially, you can't imagine them to. We might take for granted that, okay, they have smartphones or they are well versed with smartphones or anything, but only when you actually go there, interact with the students, and from their feedback we get to know, okay, they are not digitally well versed, or we may not think that, okay, for the attendance issue, people might join from different accounts at different times, because we are so used to joining at the right time. So what we take for granted may not be granted for them. I think that's where, as Shahid said earlier, it becomes challenging, because understanding your customer, understanding what they are going through and their context is very, very hard when we all are coming from a privileged background.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So you have to get into them, and solving that is actually not an easy task compared to if you are solving for, like, say India one kind of product or something. It's relatively easier because you are part of that crowd, or you know that crowd much in a better way, and they can also give a feedback. So that's.
I think feedback is crucial. I think our users, it's very hard for them to give feedback on the product / the program, because lack of reference, I'd say. They don't know what, so if they have to rate us out of 10, they don't know what is a 10 out of 10.
Exactly.
So how will they rate us effectively? So it's a lot. And in terms of building tech, the rate of feedback you get, the early adopters you get, all of those, I think it's a huge challenging part, and I think it's very crucial, like how Amit told. I think you have to be very frugal, very simple, and understand like very core, like not a lot of wrapping, fancy stuff and things like that. Very straightforward apps are I think the right way to go, especially when you're dealing with India 3 or like the underserved or communities that exist.
I would like to just add one more point. So, as I said, we are building a lot of products. Like I think at least 4 or 5 products are running parallelly right now. But then what we envision in the future is like we call it the Project Ascent, to connect all these platforms so that the data feedback, like the feedback loop is complete. So that because one product may be for the teachers, one product may be for the students, one for the volunteers. So essentially the end goal is that all of this data comes in one place so that we can actually leverage the data in a lot of other aspects, like even fundraising or even when it comes to say getting useful insights out of it and improving our product. So this is like the end goal that we have set for Opengrad.
Definitely. How do you think artificial intelligence AI will fit into the social sector? Maybe from an Opengrad point of view, how do you envision it? Like in the future of Opengrad Foundation, do you think AI playing an important role? And in the sector in general, I mean.
Yeah. So it's about how we see tech in general, right? How has tech helped Opengrad is because we are able to sit at an office in Bangalore and serve 130 schools. That is what tech has helped us
Exactly,
do.
yeah.
And I think what AI helps us do is that go deeper into this. I think AI can help us, do more using the tools. That is what one employee was doing right now with the right kind of AI tools. If it took like 6 hours for his work before, now we can do that in 3 hours. So basically it is definitely going to accelerate how we do our day-to-day tasks and simple things like that. But on top of that, I think one issue that we have constantly been trying to solve is how we assess the students, how we conduct preparatory trainings, and then we see how they've improved and things like that, how they've improved in their non-cognitive skills, how they've improved in their 21st century skills like communication and all those things. And I think all of these parts also, we, at least from our organization point of view, I think the direct plug right now is that we can use AI to help us assess students better. I think we can assess students at scale. Like a lot of things right now are blocked because we do not have that kind of manpower, or we do not have that much people going and speaking to students every day, day in, day out. And I think a lot of it can be solved by utilizing AI agents / interview tools that can interview our beneficiaries and take like necessary data points so that we understand how they've improved over the course of the program. I think that is very exciting for us, and I think there is a lot of application specifically in the training area because because it is interactive. I think you can, because the AI can understand a lot of vernacular. AI is so good right now that it can understand vernacular languages at like even the most colloquial levels, and I think that helps us build products for people in our communities to upskill themselves in multiple places. They can now take a demo interview using AI interview tools. They can take demo tests. They can build products using AI like coders and things like that. It's also about how I think it is a lot of opportunity for us to accelerate and scale our work. And in the same time, I think it is essential that we ensure our students are not left out in the whole value chain of AI. Students, beneficiaries, and everybody, and even teachers. I think teachers also must be aware of how AI can be used at the best levels, how students should be taught to use AI, because nobody should be left behind.
Yeah.
Because now everybody in say India 1 or India 2 is accessing all of this right now, and say if we do not take this to our beneficiaries currently, they are going to be left behind and they won't be able to use it at the right level. And I think our goal should be to have like solid education, solid awareness for our community, our beneficiaries on using AI at the right level, and also ensuring privacy. I think because we are dealing with students, one of our challenges working with AI is that we should be able to understand what that data is being used. So if we're using like say a ChatGPT or like a Gemini or any of the tools, we should be very clear that this data what we are putting, is it sensitive, does it have any kind of student data, because a lot of these data privacy is a big problem, especially because we're dealing with students of small ages, students, their personal information and things like that. So
basically minors.
Minors, yeah. So I think for us, there is a challenge and also there's a huge opportunity. Challenge being about how we tackle data privacy in the age of AI and how we use AI while keeping that in mind. And opportunity in the sense that a lot of things that require a lot of manual intervention, I think we can automate. I'm very positive we can automate. I think that has been one of the key pillars of Opengrad success right now as well. I think what I see is that we've been small in the sense we have a lean organization. We have 3, 4, 5 permanent employees running 130 school-wide programs. That is something that is being done only because of the right kind of tech use that we have. And I think this can be accelerated further using AI. But our challenge will be in understanding data points and privacy and things like that. I think that is how I see, and in for all social orgs as well. I think it can be like a huge game changer. And social orgs should actively try to ensure that beneficiaries are aware of these tools coming out, and because most of them are free. Most of the AI tools out there are free. So nobody should be like, yeah, what is this? How do I use this? And right now it's available directly in your tools like WhatsApp and stuff like that. You can just tag Meta AI and it can explain a lot of things to you. So there's a lot of avenues for every social sector organization to use it. And I think it's a pivotal point in terms of tech and how people interact with tech as well. So I'm personally very excited for how we use AI, how social sector use AI, and let's hope that the sector does not stay behind in terms of adoption of AI. I think we should be forerunners and push for active AI adoption in the healthy sense. Yeah. Thank you. I think that's all. I think we've covered a lot of points, and this Amit just came from Germany a couple of days back, and we had to push and ensure that we were able to put this podcast in the schedule. And I'm very glad that we could all sit and talk about these things and share it with you guys.